Food for Thought with Professor David Bitte.
Hey, a very good morning to you. Friday is here with us again, and every Friday we have Food for Thought with Professor Ndete. Several weeks ago, we began a conversation on obsessive compulsive disorder, OCD, as is commonly known to many of us. Now, we didn't quite finish that discussion. We want to get back to it and continue to learn more about it. And even as we do that, just a reminder, if you have a friend or family member or you yourself identify with some of the things that we are talking about, it's always important to reach out because help is available. Let's go back to this conversation. Yeah. I'm just wondering if maybe your parent has got this kind of condition. Yeah. And so for you growing up, you're seeing all these compulsive behaviors.
Yes.
Could you also develop them?
I don't think it's infectious.
Yes.
I don't think it's infectious. Mm-hmm. But having said that, it can be understandable that this condition can run through families.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
It's not because it is infectious. Mm-hmm. It is because they share the same genes mm-hmm. That explain this condition.
Yes.
Of course, with the varying degrees of the effect of those genes, we call it gene penetrance. This technical, we'll not go into that, mm-hmm. but it depends on the severity of these genes. We can come from the same parenthood, yeah. but our genes are different, so mm-hmm. They are not quite the same. And even if we share the same genes, some of the genes are stronger in me than yes. in you.
Yes.
So that could be the explanation. But having said that, we should not start saying this is a condition that runs in a family. And yes, it runs in a family, but we should never say it in a negative way. Mm-hmm. How many types of cancers run through families?
Many.
How many types of physical conditions, diabetes, hypertension, different types of conditions that run through families? We don't make issues out of it. But when it comes to mental illnesses, we start making issues out of it.
Very true.
Basically because, as I said a little bit earlier, we do not understand what is going on.
Yeah.
Understand what is going on is a medical condition, and they approach it from that perspective. Yes.
Okay. On the obsessive thoughts, just a thought, because I've had this sometimes when you're talking to married couples and you're doing marriage counseling,
yes.
And sometimes you find one of the spouses says, my wife or my husband is always obsessed with this thought that I am cheating on them. They're always searching my phone. They're always following after me. In fact, I had one story where the husband was so obsessive, he hired a detective to follow the wife everywhere she went because he had this thought in his mind that was cemented in there that this woman must be cheating on me. Is that this what you're talking about?
That's a condition we call Othello syndrome.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, we call it Othello syndrome. Sometimes we call it pathological jealousy. And I think in many ways it is a distinct condition. But as I said, remember I said, and this understanding of comorbidity is very, very important.
Yes.
Remember I said at 33% of people with obsessive compulsive disorder may have a schizophrenic type of illness.
Yes.
So if you get that combination, then you are obviously dealing with an abnormal situation. You may be dealing with two conditions, and it may be you are more into a schizophrenic aspect of this thing.
Yes.
Where there is unjustified beliefs about what the other person could be doing, and it can take all the forms that you have narrated. It can even take the form of violence. But characteristically, and listen to me this carefully.
Yes.
When it reaches to a point where a husband, or for that matter, husbands also get beaten up by the wives.
Yes.
When this has happened, the person who has say is a husband, which we are used to, we know more, is has beaten the wife and even forced the wife to make a confession. When she makes that confession, is apologizes profusely.
Yes.
And says, I'm
Yes.
sorry, I didn't mean this. You see, here we are dealing with a person who has a bit of no insight at all and a bit of insight at all, where they know, where they think what they are dealing is for real.
Yes.
The other thing is not quite okay. I mean, it's not what I'm not quite right. It may not be quite right. So you can get a combination of them. No wonder 33% comorbidity. So if you have that kind of condition, the principles will be the same. You could be dealing with two conditions occurring at the same time.
Yeah.
And if it's schizophrenia, just treat these people for schizophrenia and they get well.
Okay.
Yeah, or rather, an appropriate medicine for psychosis. So that's what Othello syndrome is.
Okay. For that person who is listening to us today or watching us today, and they can see, okay, the things you're talking about are the things I'm seeing maybe in my friend or my brother, my sister, or even my parent, how can they help?
This is an area that I think we have talked about in the past. Remember, I believe that the people who are around you are the most important people.
Yes.
And if a person has this condition, I'm not saying go running to see a psychiatrist like me, or go running to see a doctor or somebody else. Please talk to somebody who is close to you. I am having this kind of problem. Now I'm talking to the person who may have this condition.
Yeah.
Go and just confide in somebody. Tell them that I have this kind. Just like that doctor. Eventually I confided in us that he had been he had this problem. But remember, in this particular case, we are the one who provoked the discussion because we said in a very nice way, you know, Dr. So-and-so, there seems to be a problem. You keep on moving and we are not sleeping.
We can't sleep.
Why don't we talk about this?
Yes.
And it initiated a dialogue. So it can be initiated by the person who has got this condition. Talk to somebody.
Yeah.
And talk to somebody you can trust. Don't just go telling everybody because go telling everybody starts saying you are crazy, and you are not crazy. You just have a condition which is a medical condition.
Okay.
Now, if so, that is coming from the perspective of the person who has got a condition. Now, if it is your wife or it is a good friend of yours, why don't you take a polite approach?
Okay.
This seems to be a problem. Can we talk about it? And I think that is the best way to go about this. And you know, the fact that if you begin to realize that you have a problem, or somebody else has has noticed that there is a problem, then you start focusing, seeing it from that perspective, and it helps quite a lot. Eventually, there are certain cases, in very extreme cases, where you need to see a doctor or even need to see a clinical psychologist or a nurse. And this is why I'm saying, and I've said in very many different forums, mental health issues are not just for psychiatrists.
Yes.
It's for all of us.
Very true.
Particularly you pastors.
Yes.
Particularly you pastors. It is so very important because under normal circumstances, when a person has a problem, they rush to the pastor.
Yes.
Yeah?
Yes.
So we're asking you, we are not challenging what you do. Yes, we believe in God. He can do many things. He can even heal.
Yes.
But look at this as a medical problem. If I have a cold or if I have a COVID,
yes,
and I come to you, you realize this is a medical condition.
Yes, I'll send you to the hospital.
You send me to the hospital.
Yes.
Don't say, I've got COVID because I'm evil. I have
Some evil spirits have come upon you.
No. Yeah, please take the same approach. And even if I've called you, send me to the doctor, you still pray for me.
Exactly.
Healing.
Yeah.
Exactly.
They go hand in hand.
They go hand in hand.
Yes.
And by the way, that going hand in hand is very therapeutic. And I must tell the listeners this.
Yeah.
And what I'm saying is not my imagination. It is scientific. That people who have a belief in a higher being, it affects their immunological response to situations. And that immunological response explains certain medical conditions.
Yes.
So they go hand in hand. Pray for me, but also at the same time, ask me to go for treatment and insist that I take treatment.
Yeah.
Because what we are seeing, and I've seen it in this office, we prescribe medicines. They go to some of these prayer meetings, and they are told not to take medications. Yes, it happens quite a lot.
Yes, I've had of such issues.
We want them to go together. Let's work together.
Very true.
Yes.
Hand in hand.
Yeah.
Finally, Professor, this stigma. I know we've talked about this, but we need to keep talking about it.
Sure.
How do we minimize it? How do we kill stigma that's associated with mental health issues?
Well, from what we've been able to do, and I can support this with research findings,
Yes.
is that stigma is caused by lack of proper knowledge. You stigmatize things that you do not know.
Yeah.
You stigmatize things that you do not understand.
Yeah.
You'd even hear professionals saying, how can you get depressed? They tell you, how can you get depressed? James, how can you get depressed? You are weak. You need to be strong. And the moment we take that kind of approach, we start saying, it is your fault that you are sick.
Yes.
It is your fault that you are depressed. Be strong. Or maybe your faith is not strong enough. But the moment we begin to understand that we are dealing with medical issues. Medical conditions, it helps quite a lot. And don't let anybody tell you that highly educated people do not stigmatize mental disorders because they have their own explanatory model. But you can have a very simple person, perhaps who never went to school, and you sit them down in a non-judgmental manner, say, let's talk about this condition. What do you understand about this condition?
Yes.
They begin to understand. So it's a question of sitting with the people and explaining to them what is happening to them.
Yeah.
If they are hearing voices, and as I said, I've said this several times before, and these are very crystal clear voices, and there are no people around them, you tell them, yes, I agree with you. I know you are hearing voices, and they may be telling you this and that, but that is, it is true you are hearing those voices, but I have a different way of explaining that. There's nothing wrong with you in terms of you being queer or odd or something like that. It's a medical condition. People understand. So one of the ways of dealing with stigma is mental health awareness and education. Exactly what we are doing here.
Yes.
Maybe in a limited state, in a limited way, but maybe somebody somewhere there who is listening may find some help.
Very true. I think I have to agree with that, because even for me on a personal level, the conversations we've been having with you have really enlightened me on a lot of things.
Really? Okay,
yes. A lot of mental health issues.
Yes.
Some I just had terminologies, but now I have a deeper understanding of what they are.
Yes.
And even just having conversations creates a curiosity. So I want to dig deep and find out, okay, what is this all about? So that has really helped.
Yes. And it really helps.
Yes.
Yes.
Praise.
Yeah.
Professor, thank you so much for your time today. We truly appreciate. We've come to the end of our episode today, Food for Thought with Professor Ndetey. Let's continue to educate one another. Let's continue to have conversations on mental health issues, because, my friend, information and knowledge is power. Once you know, then you begin to look at things differently. And remember, as I always tell you, even the Bible tells us, as a man thinketh in his heart, so is he. Have a great day.